What is up, Eastern Oregon? This is Dodgy with EOAlive Sports, and today I got a special guest for you. But before we get to the guest, let's talk about one of my sponsors, Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Man, the Daggett family, just absolutely amazing what they do for the youth of this community. They donate, they sponsor this sports show. So get down there and check out their furniture store. It's amazing. It's beautiful. They redid the mattress section. It looks great in there. Big red rocking chair on Elm off Adams in LeGrand. Northwest Furniture and Mattress. You can't beat them. Now, back to my guest. It's long overdue for him to be on my sports show. I don't know if he's a little pensive about speaking in front of the camera, but I finally talked him into it. He's the coach of the three-time defending state champion LHS girls wrestling team, Rusty Gulzow. Here it is. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. I'm glad you're finally coming in for an interview. I like picking your brain. So 3 state championships in a row, but take me back to the beginning. Like, when did you start coaching LeGrand wrestling? I mean, either boys or girls.
So I started in 2014 when we moved back here. I got out of the Coast Guard and started coaching when my kids joined the Mat Club and kind of worked.
They were just little guys.
Yeah, yep.
And you've had, 2 daughters and 2 sons go through LeGrand?
Yep.
And you still have one son left. I mean, he'll be a senior next year.
Yep.
In 2014, did they have girls wrestling at LeGrand yet?
No, we kind of had a couple coming in and out of the Mat Club. You know, Delia was one of the first, and Bella and Carly Radke joined the Mat Club, and then several followed after that. So.
And then it took off from there.
Yep.
But there's been girls wrestling classification in Oregon longer than there has been state. Explain that.
Right. So prior to 2019, it was an exhibition title. So the girls had a regional tournament, and they would send 4 girls to the state tournament. So they were kind of unofficially recognized by the OSAA. They still got a trophy, but it was just exhibition after the boys wrapped up the state tournament. And then 2019, the title became official. So they awarded an actual state championship from then on. And then in 23 is when we split classifications from the 5 and 6A went their own way, and then 1A through 4A.
So ever since we split, we haven't lost.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, because 5A wrestles 6A, and then 4A and below all wrestle each other.
Yep.
Do you see that changing soon?
I don't know. I hear that there's some pressure to maybe do another split down the road, but as far as the state tournament, I think it's, we're finishing there at 11:30 at night, both classifications, and I don't think there's a lot of room to add any matches in that venue the way things are right now.
What about, how would they split it even if they did? Like, in an ideal world for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for us, we would have stayed 1A to 6A. We kind of like that format. We were winning those regionals back then when we had to travel to Mountain View, and the growth has really been in the 5A schools. There's 3 or 4 schools, especially with Crook County joining there, that basically 4 of them that are going to duke it out every year, and we're kind of alone at the top of the 4A. With the 1A, 2A, we're actually getting competition from Oak Ridge, a 2A school.
Which is crazy.
It is. They put 4 girls into the final last year, 5 girls into the final this year.
And that's all that they had in the tournament,
right? It is, yeah. All 5 basically perfect ended up in the final. And Harrisburg's kind of the same way. They sent 5 girls, but 4 of them made the final. The other girl got 3rd, so they're putting a lot of pressure on there. Banks is another. They have twin freshman sisters that both won state, both went undefeated this year. So I like where it is now. I like that there's small schools that can put girls in and give us some pressure. I think if we were just in a 4A situation, there wouldn't be the competition. Like the Oregon Classic, where we get to wrestle 1A to 6A and be up there with those big 5A schools.
How do you prepare? So, like your team, we'll take a look at your team. How do you prepare them for the state tournament when they're going to wrestle girls that they've never even seen? Like, how do you make sure that they're ready for that?
I think a lot of it is the diversity in our tournaments. We're heading over to Idaho 2 or 3 times a year. We get down to California for the Women's West Coast. We've been to Reno. We take them to really, really tough competition, right? Yeah. You go to Raleigh Lane, and I think sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing at a tournament like this? And they get losses, all of them. And so when you get through the year and people look at that, maybe you have 7, 8 losses on the year, but compared to teams that are just wrestling at home and see the same competition every single week, I think we're a lot better prepared when we get to that tournament. We also we headed over to Harrisburg this year, and that was a great opportunity for us. So you had the top 3 teams in the state all in the same location. We got to see how we stack up. Took 12 girls over there and kind of laid it out. We'd never been there. We don't usually see that competition before the regional or the state tournament, so I think that was really good for them as well.
Yeah. So numbers wise, where do we land like this year? I know like a couple years ago or maybe last year we had the most girls ever come out for wrestling. Where are we at right now, like post-COVID?
Yeah, so we started with 30 actually the first year and ended up with I think 22 competing in the regional tournament. And we've been right around 18 to 22. We were a little less this year. We had 16 girls at the regional, and a lot of these other teams are getting bigger. You know, Madras is putting together a bigger team. Nissa's got a bigger team. Mazama out of Klamath Falls.
I noticed Nissa had a lot of girls.
Yeah, and I think they're talking like 40, 45 in their middle school program this year. So it's growing, and it's nice to see. Crook County was, you know, last year we had them in our regional and at state, and they had 20-some girls. I think they're up over 30 now. So it's blown up, and I think a lot of these middle school programs are bolstering these high school teams.
Why do you think our numbers have gone down? Do you think it's like a COVID thing, or do you think, you know what I mean? Because this is these kids were like what, 6th grade, 5th grade when COVID hit. You know, high school seniors. So, or you know, what is it like? What?
Yeah, I think that has a little bit to do with it. It's also, I think, making that transition from middle school where you have, you know, success going around to these local tournaments, and you get into high school and maybe California is your first tournament, and you go from being a 14-year-old 8th grader being at the top of your game to having to wrestle 18-year-old girls in your first tournament. And it can be quite a shock as a freshman, and that year's pretty hard to get through. And we've tried our best to get those girls to come back, and sometimes that doesn't always work out.
Yeah, so basically, you know, like you were saying, you could be essentially 14. I was 14 when I was a freshman in high school, and wrestling an 18-year-old, maybe even 19-year-old girl. The girls wrestling, how do you think it's progressed? Like, where are we at right now in the progression?
I think we're kind of balancing out to the pre-COVID competition. I was talking to Delia about it the other day, and most of the girls that graduated with her are wrestling in college right now, and whether they're NAIA or Division III or now with the first NCAA Division I title that we just had this last week, they're all in the mix, right? And they're wrestling through those tournaments and hitting the semifinals, and those were a really tough group of kids. And they came through the 1A to 6A when we only placed 4, and it was pretty limited, you know, just being able to go. You had a 32-man bracket to try to get into the state tournament, and then I think COVID knocked us back quite a bit because they didn't have the opportunities to practice. And you know, when we came back, it was en masse, and a lot of people didn't want to do that. And it's building up. I mean, numbers-wise, in 2020, there was only about 20,000 girls total, and in 5 years, we're up to 75,000 high school girls.
That's crazy.
You know, states are sanctioning it one after the other, and it's really blown up.
75,000. That's crazy. In the last 3 years, give me the highlights. Like, obviously 3 state championships is pretty good, but what else? Yeah,
I think you know, obviously Lindy getting us over the hump with that individual state title, you know, is a pretty big deal. And I think it's just seeing different groups come through. You know, you don't necessarily have a favorite. It's like your kids, you know, you love them the same, but they're special in their own ways. You know, that first title, it was a meet record, you know, 102 points, and we kind of came blazing through day 1, and day 2 really freed them up that year to just have fun, and they weren't thinking about, you know, if I don't do this or how many do we have to get through the semifinals. And that was special. And then most of those girls came back the next year, and we got into a little bit of trouble on day 1. And you know, it was a really, really tight race, having to make it through the semis. So I think that adversity of, you know, being on the finals and watching other girls, you know, kind of have to falter and some other teams have some trouble, it was pretty interesting, you know. So that one was special, and obviously being back to back, you know, is really neat. But this year was totally different, you know, another meet record, and having teams, you know, put 5 girls into the final, 4 girls into the final, and they basically had to win all those to be able to catch us. And I think day one was really special this year. The firewall that they were able to build and going through and having an almost perfect first round and getting pin after pin after pin and
A lot. Yeah.
just being ready to go, and that's like you said, how do you get them ready? And they put the time in, they put the work in, and then when it came time, they were ready to go. So we kind of hit our peak right at state this year, but it's just being around this group of girls and seeing how they cheer each other on and build each other up. I think, the bus rides and the things that they talk about, the hotel trips and the hijinks that they get in.
Those bus rides
Yeah.
are wild.
Yeah.
Jeez. Just imagining, I used to coach middle school football boys, and those bus rides, just listening, like I most of the time I wouldn't listen, just every once in a while I'd just tune in, and the stuff that like kids from about like 12 to about 16 talk about, I don't remember talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just different nowadays.
Yeah.
So the middle school, the MAT Club, the feeder program for the high school, it goes MAT Club, middle school. Well, actually, MAT Club and whatever the other.
Yep.
There's two different organizations feeding the middle school,
Yeah.
and then middle school to high school. What's the relationship like with you? The high school program and the middle school program.
It's great. We're in contact with them all the time. It's been a great experience. Like the MAT Club and their interests, they involve us. They have us come down, run joint practices. The middle school's been great. The girls were able to win a state title last year. We've had nothing but support from them and integration as well, right? Things that we might be struggling with at the high school, they're able to dive in and start working on it with those middle school girls so that when they get up there, they've already addressed it, they're ready to go, and the technique's been streamlined, and it's great. Our girls wrap up their state tournament, they hop down to the middle school, and they're working with those girls, getting them ready for their regional and state tournament. So it's just been a great experience.
And vice versa with EOU too.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of just, it's
Yep.
trickle down effect basically. I noticed that there was a lot of, there was almost all the EOU girls involved. Obviously, your daughter's involved with EOU wrestling, but with the district regional tournament.
Yep.
Is that something that they're just committed to doing to help LeGrand wrestling?
Yeah, it's something Jeff reached out to them as a tournament director a couple years ago, and they've been on board with it, coming and helping setting everything up and running it, and that gives our girls an opportunity to mix with them, and plus they're excellent at what they're doing, right, running the track wrestling and being a presence, and it gives the girls from other teams that opportunity to see them as well when they come here and represent that university and the program.
Yeah, it's
that they
great.
have.
It's great for EOU.
It is.
It
Yep.
really is. One more question, and I'll get you out of here. Like moving forward, what's the goal? Like, what's the plan?
Overall, we can talk about state titles, and I think that's kind of the end result of the effort that these girls put in, and I think to keep going and to get 4 would be something really special. Obviously 3 in a row is a big deal, and that culture of winning, I think, is more of a culture of effort and trust with what these girls have built with each other, and I think, you don't get used to it or take it for granted, but you kind of expect it after a while that if you keep doing the same things, it's like baking cookies, right? You put the same ingredients in, you heat them the same way. Yeah. You're going to like what you get out of it. And I think they have an opportunity to do that. We were talking the other day about Avery Robinson, Carly Radke, and Maddie Armstrong were the only 3 to be on all 3 of those teams. And so going forward with Carly and Avery, they have a chance to be the first 2 kids in LeGrand to ever have 4 titles, and I think
for sure.
that'd be something pretty special. But each of these girls, leaves a lasting impact, and we're starting to get to the point, Bella just graduated college last year, so we're starting to get some alumni, and that's something that we haven't been able to do. And so going forward, we're going to have girls that come back that put 4 years on the team and can come contribute. It was Delia's first year coaching, so that was pretty special to have her with us. But it's just been great. Maddie Armstrong was just a fantastic captain this year. Riley Lease, what a story, right? A senior, 3 trips, doesn't make the state tournament, and she's on the podium this time. And it was just a really special year.
Yeah, Riley was a great story for sure. Eastern Oregon, he's LHS head girls wrestling coach, Rusty Gulzow. I'm Dodzy. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks, Rusty. Man, I appreciate it. I love the chats. I love to talk sports and, girls wrestling and period is something that I really enjoy. So appreciate your time, and thanks for giving us a little bit of insight into the girls wrestling program up at the high school. It's very appreciated. None of this is possible though without Northwest Furniture and Mattress. I'll just keep saying it, man. Go check out their showroom because they give back to this community and they have quality products. Northwest Furniture and Mattress, they want to make you comfortable in your own home. Eastern Oregon, that's all I got for you. I appreciate you. I'm Dodzy, and I'm out.